Surprisingly, that there are, I think, obstacles in all walks of life. Australian volleyball, I'm sure, still kind of growing, but I mean, are you considered to be kind of a pioneer for the years that you kind of got it up and going? I mean, it just recently became an Olympic sport, and et cetera, et cetera. So some of the obstacles that you had to face to be able to help keep it or bring it to the mainstream in Australia?
Well, the obstacle is always getting the media time and, you know, the word out there about our sport when there are so many other sports involved in our country. But personally, for me, obstacles that I've had to face, I went on to play 10 years of indoor volleyball, and I then had a serious injury, and I wrecked my knee, basically. I ruptured my cruciate ligament, my medial ligament, and all of my meniscus. And I was 27 at the time.
Came down off a block, came down off a kill?
Came down off a block. No, sorry, came down off a kill. I was blocked. As I landed, the ball was rebounding very slowly next to me. I figured I'd be able to get that one myself, and I landed and twisted at the same moment. So my foot stayed stuck and my body just wrenched all my ligaments and tore everything.
I'm going to try not to wear the grimace of what your pain must have been like.
Well, in a way, there almost wasn't pain because it ruptured everything. So I did a really good job. I'm always really good at what I do, and I did a really good job at my knee. But after a year, I didn't think I'd ever be able to play volleyball again.
Okay, so a direction where I wouldn't have thought to go, but I think it would be nice to hear what it's like being a great athlete and having to find the inner self to bring yourself back from such what could have been a devastating injury.
Well, it was probably one of the lowest moments of my life because volleyball up until then had been my life. I'd quit my job. I'd played professionally in Italy for a year. I'd just come back from Italy. I was playing the best volleyball I've ever played in my life. I wanted to go back to Italy again, the first time I'd ever made any money playing volleyball in 10 years. I'd always spent my own money to travel and everything. We didn't have a lot of funding at all. And all my friends were volleyball players or coaches. I was totally in the whole scene, and when that happened, I figured that was it. My life was over, and I really didn't know what to do. And it was actually something very similar to this, a brand new white volleyball, if I may. Grab that. My husband at the time, or my boyfriend at the time, gave me a brand new white volleyball just like this. He came home after I was sitting on the couch. I couldn't move my leg. I'd had 3 surgeries already. And he said, Kerri, on every panel of this ball, I want you to write a goal. And then I want you to date that goal. And then bit by bit, I want you to get back to playing sport. And so I started filling in all the panels. As you can see, they're already filled in a little bit. I started filling in all these panels. And bit by bit, I actually started to follow. I'd never set a goal in my life. I didn't even know what goals were. And it made me realise it was on something that was significant to me. It was in front of me every single day, so I saw it every single day. So all of a sudden I had a pathway, and I could see where I wanted to go because it was written on the ball. I could see the final result, and I had a pathway that was dated, and step by step I made all the little improvements to get back. Unfortunately, the one thing that I wanted to get back to was indoor volleyball, playing for the national team again, and I was never able to do that.
Based on the recovery from the injury, just the hardwood a little too much?
On the injury. I could not handle the pounding on the joint, and I couldn't move as fast, twisting and turning because of the twisting motions. But there was one panel left on this ball that I hadn't filled in, and so really small on the bottom of the ball, and I didn't think that I'd ever be there, but I just thought, well, just in case, I wrote beach volleyball. And this was in 1993, so 3 years out from the Atlanta Olympics, and I wrote 1996 Atlanta Olympics. I figured maybe somehow that's where I'm going to end up, or I can aim to end up. And as I said, I got to the point where a year after I still couldn't play indoor, had an opportunity to play beach volleyball, and I took it and made it to Atlanta, then Sydney, then Athens, all because of that ball.
The initial bug bit you because your brother needed an extra to make his team